There is no timetable on passion. Passion is something that we engage with up and down over the decades of our lives. And anybody who's trying to like shove you into a little box and tell you exactly how and when and how frequently you have to engage with something that you love to do, that person is not as free as you. Hello, sunshine. Welcome back to the Neurodivergent Creative Podcast, where today's topic is the fact that sometimes your intuition might nudge you to pick up a supply or a new medium of art or something that looks kind of useless, but you feel like you want it, even though you don't have a plan. This is okay. This can be part of your process. So, a couple examples. One, maybe a year ago, I bought a set of these little wooden, like, nursery shelves, right? They're sort of designed to display a couple of, like, children's books front-facing. And I bought a set of 4 for them so that I could put, like, some books on my wall, or I could put my notebooks where I could see them all at the same time or something. When I bought them, they were for my office. And there they sat in a box for over a year because I was like, I'm not sure where I want to put them. I don't know what color I want to paint them. I'm not 100% sure that that plan was correct. Fast forward to a couple of months ago where I was looking on Pinterest for like living room bookshelf ideas. And I really liked the idea of sort of a built-in bookshelf that like fits around the couches and it's like in a corner, and we could have all sorts of beautiful books on it. Some of them even look like trees, like, and the shelves are branches. Didn't know that I wanted to get that detailed, but what I did decide was, I think I want to use these shelves because I have 4 shelves and I have 4 people who live in my house. I want to use these shelves so that each of us can display like 2 or 3 books that are important to us, or 2 or 3 books that like describe us as a person. So like my roommate Brandon, he's really into like reading religious texts. He just likes reading about multiple cultures. So he might put a couple of religious books on here and then they're just sort of on display. So people walk in and they see and they're like, oh, who's into that? I would probably have a copy of my own book on here because what represents me better than my own book? Or maybe like books that my clients have written or something like that, etc. And then I decided that maybe I want to add some like little mushrooms and moss and like make them look a little bit like a fairy village or something like that. So now I am decorating the shelves. And related to this is this little like light up dragon that I bought from Michael's. I want to say like maybe a year and a half ago. And my partner came in and saw me painting this, which when I bought it, he's like, are you really going to use that? And I said, I think I will. I'm pretty sure. But I didn't really have a plan. And he kind of side-eyed me. He was like, all right, whatever. Like, that's your decision. And I get that. I get that he was like, are you bringing stuff into our house that you're not going to do anything with? And my thought there is that I keep it away from the common area. It goes in my office, so it doesn't matter. But anyway, he saw me painting it and he was like, okay, I guess sometimes you just need to wait for the right moment. And I was like, yeah, like I knew I was going to use it. I just didn't know what it was for yet when I bought it. And that is part of trusting my creative intuition. Very important. That is something that I teach about in all the spaces that I teach about creativity, is like connecting with your intuition is a very important part of it. Because my intuition knew I was going to use that dragon. My intuition knew I wanted those shelves, even though I did not take action on them right away. And they sort of waited, and some would say festered and were hoarded. But I don't think that they were festering. I don't think that they were being hoarded. I think that they were just waiting for the right moment when like all the pieces came together properly. I like that. I give you permission. If you have stuff and you're like, I'm not sure when, why, or how I'm going to use this, but I do feel like a pull toward it, like I don't feel right getting rid of it yet, that's okay. Keep that thing. Talk to the thing. Think about the thing. Look at the thing and be like, I wonder what you're going to be part of. This is part of being like an intuitive and spiritual creative. So creativity is a need the same way that like privacy, intimacy, spirituality are needs, which means that to varying degrees, person to person, some people really need like a spiritual outlet. The same way that some people need a creative outlet. The same way that some people need to have like a lot of deep friendships and other people only want 1 or 2 close friendships. Everybody's level on like these particular needs are different, but that doesn't negate the fact that they are important and they are necessary for our fulfillment. So props to this little dragon that I bought from Michael's for being something that my intuition was like, you should get that dragon. I love that for me. Now, another great example of this is that I have been sort of collecting and organizing collage materials for like the past, probably all of 2024. I think I might have started this like toward the end of last year and over the winter, where I just started going through magazines and like cutting out things that I liked. And I was not always making collages, but I knew that I wanted to do something with collage. I was sort of evolving into a collaging process. So I've been like organizing collage bits for 8 months. And then finally last week, it all came together in like a perfect intuitive moment. And I realized that I make divination artwork. So it's sort of like an oracle deck, but as a collage, right? Where I'm pulling in all these different elements and like some shapes and some things that could be ambiguous and some things that are pretty obvious. And I can play with like perspective and lines and angles and create a picture that sort of the more you look at it, the more you can perceive in it. Like an I Spy book or something like Where's Waldo, you know? Like there's a lot going on. This is a very busy piece of art. But the more I look at it, the more I find to see. I had no idea that that's what I was working toward. I could not have planned that. And in fact, if I tried to make that any earlier than I did, I think they wouldn't have come out the same. And just this past week, I made 5 of them and I love them. I'm like, this is awesome. I do this now. This is my art form. I am making these sort of like oracle collage pieces. And it's just something that I couldn't have controlled for. I couldn't have planned for. It had to come up naturally. It had to come up organically for me and intuitively. And that's why intuition is such an important part of creating a creative practice that is fulfilling. Because, you know, you can make art that other people want, or you can make art that you know that you're good at and you have practiced for a long time and maybe people buy it, but like you're kind of bored and you're like, I don't really like doing this anymore, but it's the only thing that I know how to do. Listen to those little nudges. If you have always been an acrylic paint person and on Facebook Marketplace, you see somebody giving away like a huge set of oils and an easel and some canvases, and you're like, maybe I'll try oils. You don't have to know when you're going to try oils. Go get that. That's for you. If you see something that becomes available to you and your whole heart and your gut are like, oh, you should try that. Go get it. Go get it. You do not have to have a plan on when you are going to follow through. You literally don't have to. That is my ADHD permission slip fairy godparent gift to you today. You don't owe anybody a plan for when you are going to do a creative project. Now, one caveat, I will say that if you have so many like supplies and hobby materials and like art stuff taking up space in your home that like you're tripping over it, or if there was a fire, you would die because you can't get out because you would fall under all of the hobby supplies, like maybe go through that and purge some. I try to keep myself to like 2 to 3 key core hobbies at a time. So I have like fiber arts, I have paint, and now I have collage. And those are like my 3 main things That's a lie. I also have mosaics, but those are for a specific project. They're not a long-term thing. So your plan can include, I don't know when I'm going to get to that. And that scares a lot of people. I think it scares a lot of people who aren't neurodivergent or specifically ADHD because people like a plan, right? Even those of us with ADHD, sometimes we like a plan. We're like, okay, yes, I see the list. I see the checklist. I see the 1, 2, 3. And then even if we know I'm not going to do that, we like knowing that there is a plan. But creativity doesn't have to have a plan. Creativity is an intuitive process. One more example, and this one is sad. So gird your loins for sadness. But when I was a teenager, probably like 16, 17, I got a guitar for free from a friend's mom. They were like cleaning out their garage and they were like, hey, I got this guitar. Do you want it? And I loved this guitar. She was beautiful. And of course I called her she, and I named her Lorelei. And I made a little label for her case that said Lorelei. And like, I would sometimes just open up the case and look at this guitar. I did not know how to play guitar. I did not have a very good plan for learning how to play guitar. I had some like chord progressions or, like the fret charts that would teach me like how to play different chords on the guitar. And I would practice them sometimes, but it was not consistent, partly because I was busy and partly because I had undiagnosed ADHD and like, I just didn't get to it, but I knew that I would eventually get to it. That was my plan. Like pacing myself is part of my process. Knowing, ooh, I want this thing because I want to learn that, even though I don't know when, that can be part of your process. That's allowed. Like, I wanted to learn ukulele, and a friend, pandemic, bought one and then never used it. And so she offered to send me hers. And I'm like, sweet, send it to me. So she sent it to me and now I have one and I've practiced it like 4 times. And yeah, if I practiced it more often, I would get better. But it doesn't fit in yet. Like I'm not ready for it. It hasn't finished percolating. But back to my beautiful guitar, Lorelei. I get this phone call from my sister one day. I'm out of the house and my sister says, Mom is selling your guitar at a yard sale. And so I say, put Mom on the phone. Mom gets on the phone with me and I am riled up. I am yelling. I'm like, you can't sell my guitar. That's mine. That belongs to me. And she goes, well, you never use it. You've never learned how to use it. If you're not going to use it, I'm going to get rid of it. And she just kept pushing me on it. And no matter what, like the fact that that was my item, the fact that I owned that guitar did not matter. I was not using it in a way that she found acceptable. Thus, it was time to get rid of it. I'm not sure if I did anything in particular and this was a punishment for it, but it's possible. Like that's not outside the realm of possibility. She was kind of the trash bag type of mom. Where if she had a bad day, she would kind of come into our rooms and be like, anything that's on the floor is going in the trash now. And it was not emotionally safe in my household for most of my childhood. So she likes to get rid of stuff. She likes to get rid of my stuff because I don't use it a way she approves of. Like, ask me why I'm estranged from my mother. And eventually we're on this call and she says, look, if you don't want me to sell it, that's fine. But I'm going to put a nail through it and hang it on the wall as a decoration. So if you want it to be a guitar, you should let this person buy it for her teenage son or whatever. And so I said, fine, let it go. Like it should have a life as a guitar, right? Because my superhuman empathy is calling the shots. So my mom sold my guitar because I wasn't using it in a way that she found acceptable. And I'm here to tell you that that's fucked up and that's bullshit. And that's not okay. So if you have hobbies that you've been feeling shame about because you've been holding on to them for so long and you've never used them, like go touch them, go pick them up and like ask yourself and those supplies, like, are you for me or are you for someone else? And if they are for you, even if you don't know when, even if you don't know how, keep them. You are allowed to keep them. You do not have to get rid of things that you don't use on a regular basis, especially with ADHD, because our hobbies and our interests go in seasons and cycles. We are not always interested in the same thing. And we often need a lot of different like enrichment and stimulation to keep like the novelty going. So no, I will not be authorizing anybody to simply throw away their stuff because they haven't used it in X amount of time. Like sometimes we put things away for a while. Sometimes we get things before we are ready to use them, and that's not a bad thing. You can hang on to something until you're ready to use it. You are the authority on that. Nobody else can be the authority on that. So if you lived in a household where somebody threw away your stuff because you didn't use it right, I am so sorry. That was not fair. That was really messed up, and you didn't deserve it. So what you can do now is go repurchase yourself that beautiful red acoustic guitar. Maybe find one on eBay for $20. I have no idea. But like, go find those things that you love, because you deserve those things that you love, and you deserve to let them take the time that they need to like come to creative fruition for you. There is no timetable on passion. Passion is something that we engage with like up and down over the decades of our lives. And anybody who's trying to like shove you into a little box and tell you exactly how and when and how frequently you have to engage with something that you love to do, that person is not as free as you. That person is operating under a paradigm where if they don't use it, they lose it. And maybe they would benefit from being able to simply exist with their creative passions and use them when they feel intuitively that it's time to use them. We don't hustle fun either. Like, as we are divesting from capitalism and hustle culture, make sure that you are not putting hustle pressure on your hobbies, on your relationships, on making friends. No, life is too short. So yeah, wait 20 years to touch your guitar. Like, tell your mom I said it's fine. Tell my mom. Somebody has to, because it's not going to be me. But yeah, I'm going to leave you there for now, and I'll see you next week. And I hope that you feel a little better about taking a break from something and about allowing yourself to enjoy things, even if you only use them every once in a while. Because that's allowed, because we're human people. Okay. Love you. Bye.